Today we're going to discuss the 5 common traps for new leaders as they join their new teams, their new role and responsibility. Oftentimes organizations promote from within, which I'm a strong advocate for. I think there's some cons, obviously, but largely I believe in that model. What I mean by that is individuals at lower levels within the organization, single contributors, top performers. When an entry-level leadership position becomes available, they hire from within. That's a great model. However, some of the common traps as new leaders move in, especially if you are a single contributor moving into a leadership role, is 1, your inability to effectively delegate, right? You're so used to being the single contributor. You own your work. You have to hit the keyboard for every task and initiative. When as a leader, you're responsible for the overall group's success in delivering outcomes, not necessarily executing the outcomes yourself. So I would absolutely prioritize learning different ways to delegate and ask yourself what frameworks can you leverage to ensure that you are not taking on more than you can handle. Because again, everybody knows you're capable of executing the tasks. That's largely why you were promoted to begin with. But you have to understand now, it is not the singular task that defines your success as a leader. Rather, it is a combination of outcomes, tasks, initiatives that will determine. And that is across your entire team. And if you're in this rabbit hole, working on this one project, process, account, etc., who's facilitating, quarterbacking, managing, leading the rest of the team to accomplish all of the deliverables that are required to be successful, to drive the outcomes at your department, division, or organizational level? Delegation. Keep an eye on it and leverage it. And I will have videos specifically around delegation, the frameworks you can utilize. Another trap is not setting clear expectations. And again, the common theme you'll see here is if you were a single contributor moving into a people leadership role, it's no fault of your own. You're leveraging what made you successful at your prior role. However, I'm here to hopefully clearly articulate the reasons in which you have to leave your old style in the past and adopt the systems and structures and mindset of a leader versus a single contributor. Not setting clear expectations. Let's give you an example. Say your boss gives you a project that you have to deliver. You immediately need to pull together the stakeholders or the performers, the individuals that will hit the keyboard and execute all of the tasks associated with the project. To effectively execute with quality and by deadlines, everybody involved must clearly understand the role that they're going to play, the delivery that you expect each of the tasks to be completed by. What's the escalation path? What is the primary responsibility of each of the members on the team? How are we going to communicate? Who needs to approve? You need to outline with clarity what exactly needs to transpire, who's involved, who's responsible, when is it due, and how often are we going to check in on the progress. Do not assume that all of the people that are involved with said project understand these things. As a leader, you're accountable regardless if you're hitting the keyboard or not. And one way to ensure you're successful is to make sure that your expectations are extremely clear. And let me give you a piece of advice. A lot of leaders have this misunderstanding that employees will look at you a different way if you over communicate or if you set the boundaries and set expectations from the beginning. In all of my years of experience, the overwhelming amount of employees much appreciate the boundaries, escalation paths, the delivery dates, the conditions of satisfaction. Who doesn't appreciate that? Especially if you're trying to perform a job on a regular basis. Deliver them the expectations that you have that will increase your success. Do not fall into the mindset that the people that have been around this project or team or department longer than you have automatically understand what's the condition of satisfaction for the project, who is leading the project, what tasks are they responsible for, when are the due dates, how often are you checking in, so on and so forth. Over communicate the expectations and check in regularly. Avoiding tough conversations. And we have talked about this in the past. As a new leader, one of the things that you're most nervous about, I would imagine, is having difficult conversation with adults. But let me tell you something. You're not solely responsible for the success any longer as you were as a single contributor. You're only as good as your team. Let me say that again. You are only as good as the people around you, which in this context will be your team and peers, etc. But you're only as good as your team. That's why the things we are talking about here are extremely important for you to understand and immediately start developing your muscle or skill set around. Without it, you're going to fail. I hate to be that person, but if you're the person that thinks that you can do all the work and you don't have to delegate, you're going to fail. If you think that everybody just assumes or understands the expectations, you're going to fail. If you are avoiding tough conversations and not addressing performance or behavioral issues immediately, you are ultimately going to fail. If you micromanage, you are going to fail. And then lastly, which I don't see extremely often but have seen in the past, is people like to take credit for other people's work. I would encourage you as a leader, new leader, 10-year leader, it doesn't matter, do the complete opposite actually. You ever heard the saying that individuals that are truly great, they don't need to tell anybody they're great? Take that approach. Give the glory, give the praise to everybody else. Don't step on other people's work and try to co-sign or add your name as an author on anything. Let your work and your team's work speak for itself. So let's quickly recap. 5 common traps for new managers. Lack of delegation, micromanagement, avoiding tough conversations, taking credit for other people's work, and not setting clear expectations. I'll have video series on each one of these and a detailed recap, deep dive. But for now, if you're a new leader or an aspiring leader, please focus on these things. You're only as good as the people around you. Your success is determined by your team's success. You can't do it all. I don't care the skill level you have. Until next time, cheers.